Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We are just starting out on the Coach Les and Sujata Against All Odds live podcast. And for those of you that are visiting for the first time, we stream this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And as you can see, I'm Coach Les. For those of you that don't know me, you can check out my information. Go to leshill.info, tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm an integrity coach, a business coach, and I've been coaching almost 20 years. I've coached almost 5,000 people and absolutely have fallen in love with coaching. And I have created this category called an integrity coach. And the areas of life that I work with are communication, accountability, structures for fulfillment like goals setting, and faith and family, and creating balance with faith, family, and business. And my co-host, we have been doing this show now for coming up, I think, on 6 years, 6 months, 6 years, 6 months, is Sujata Tiwari. And if you take a look, if you're online, and you can see I'm holding up her book, Against All Odds, No Retakes, No Manuals, Real Life Lessons by Sujata. Sujata has accumulated a wealth of experience during her life, leading to insights and knowledge that cannot be coached or taught in a class. It's commonly referred to as OJT, on-the-job training. She is a mother, a wife, a journalist, a consultant, an activist, a leader, and a businesswoman, domestically and internationally. And in sharing her story, Sujata strives to provide readers of all backgrounds in any part of the world with real-life examples on how to deal with the unpredictable nature of everyday life. And with that, I want to take a moment to say hello to Sujata and let her jump on and say hello and tell us a little bit about what we're up to today.
Dear.
Oh, you didn't get to see that. That's right. I will have to do that. We're going to talk about customer service nightmares today.
Okay.
So, Sujata, I know your video must not be working.
That's right. Sometimes it's against all odds that we have this.
And I love that April has joined in and sent us a whole bunch of hugs and smiley faces from LinkedIn. So thank you so much for joining us on LinkedIn, April. So Sujata, what is your thought about our topic today? Do you want to start us off?
Customer service nightmare, right? That's the topic?
Let's talk customer service nightmares. Customer service. It's a pretty broad topic, Sujata. I think anything you say will hit it.
Yes, so I'm wondering where to start from. So, when you are in the service industry, whether it's a product or a service, and you might be doing your best, but there's an irate customer who is unhappy with what is delivered, and they come and they make your life miserable because sometimes they ask for a refund or they just come and take off. And you, because there's a saying that the customer is right, or you have to always please the customer or placate the customer. So you have to actually, even if you know that they are wrong, you have to, like, sometimes eat humble pie, and sometimes you have to be firm. Like, when I had my store and was selling shoes, and there were customers who thought that they could come with small minor defects, and after wearing the shoes they wanted refund, or they wanted it to be, I don't know what. So we had to firmly tell them that that is not allowed. It's like having a wearable product. and you can't just always take it back. So we have to deal with such things from time to time. You have to be patient about it, even though you might be mad at them. That's how it is.
Yes, yes, yes. So Sujata, you covered the broad scope. Do you have an example that you'd love to share, something that we might be able to take some nuggets away from and learn?
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to remember the incidences, and there were quite a few, not not many, but when you are making handmade shoes, there would be minor imperfections, and they would come and say that, oh, after wearing it, they would come and say, oh, please get this rectified, and please get it repaired, and give us a brand new thing. And we had to tell them politely that this is not how it is done, because once worn, it's like once worn and you have walked in the shoes, we can't do anything, right? And if there are minor imperfections which we tell you about, then that's also not possible. We can, if the souls can be resold, we would happily do so. But if there was something which was just like a quirk, then it was a lot of back and forth. But what happens is, if your terms and conditions are clear, and in this case, we were the franchise, so the owners, if they said no, nothing can be done, then nothing can be done. So we had that a little comfort zone where we could say, look, we are not the owners. And so, if you want, you can write to the owners and see what can be done. And so, it's just a matter of dealing with the customer. You have to have patience, you have to keep your cool and calm, and be firm. There will always be some of them.
Awesome. Thank you, Sujata. So why did I pick this topic for us today?
Yes, that's an interesting question.
So I chose this topic for a simple reason. I believe that we just went going through the pandemic and going through the age of millennials. I think something that has happened is customer service has gone by the wayside. Now, what do I mean by that? Due to the fact that sometimes companies are not able to find employees, they lower their standards of employees coming into the business. So that's point one. Point two is that given the people that we're dealing with, their service is not up to par, partly because on the other side of the fence, they go into stores when they're quote unquote not working, and they expect diamonds for pennies. They expect the red carpet because they've seen it on TV. They've watched social media where people have complained and gotten free stuff, hired lawyers and gotten won lawsuits. And so I believe that there's this air of arrogance that has showed up for the generations of people that in that age bracket where I would say somewhere around 18 to mid 30s, stereotypically, they have an expectation, super high expectation out there for, I now have control over social media and your future, therefore you had better be nice to me. And so they have an experience that they are somehow better than the people that are working, and that they're beholding like the company is beholden to them for their dollar. And so therefore, for their dollar, they expect $1,000 worth of customer service, which includes free stuff, stroking of the ego, and what I would call a catering to attitude. Now, is this everyone? No. I know that there are a lot of people, probably some very amazing people that have come in to listen today that are not that way. In fact, a lot of people, there was a big shift throughout the pandemic in the service industry because guess what? There were so many people that weren't working in the service industry. So having a waiter or a wait person come to your table was like, wow. And all of a sudden, people were tipping 20 and 25% because they were so grateful to be waited on. So there's been a lot of extremes that have happened. There's been what I call an abuse of social media. There's been this very difficult finding employees, and then this attitude for employees and also customers that has been on the extremes. With all of that, I thought, let's do a room on customer service. So that's what prompted this, Sujata. That's what got me cooking.
I get it.
So April is so expressive with those emojis on Clubhouse. For those of you that are not able to see that are online, she is definitely doing a good job of keeping up on her phone with giving us some fun emojis, and now also with what they call the GIFs of the world, which are now available to take the conversation one step higher. So thank you, April. Thanks for making me laugh. All right. Well, I want to hear I'd love to get started here, and let's hear what people have to say about this topic. And I want to hear some really wild stories. And I know we usually do 3 days of these topics. So today, tomorrow, and Friday night. And I'm sure Friday night will get very colorful with some of the examples, right, Sujata? But let's see what we can get going today. And I'm going to pass the microphone over to Brother Joey. Good afternoon, Joey. Are you available to come off mic?
Yeah. Yep. I was just grabbing my phone. I'm listening. I mean, it's a good topic. I would love. I'm looking at the audience and who's in the listening lounge. I would love for someone of that generation between 18 through mid 20s or mid 30s to kind of give us their thoughts. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. There is something though that I've discovered about that generation, Coach, that could play into what we're seeing, as what we're seeing, and I think that generation. I thought we had somebody in here a couple of weeks ago actually comment on someone of that generation, or someone did speak of it, that they're of the mindset of, and I don't think this is terrible. They're of the mindset of, I know you're older. I know you may be somebody who has gone through it. I know you have credentials, but I don't know you. Until I know who you are, I'm not buying anything you have to say. I'm not trusting you. And that's where I kind of love the phrase that says to be seen, to be known, and to be heard. I think that they live that to the fullest. They want to see you. They want to know you and then you have the right to be heard. So how does that play into what we're talking about today with some of the examples that we kind of were given, or that we're going to be discussing with that generation? Do I believe? I'm sorry. I agree with you that in the industry of food service or service in general, with the what we call the Great Resignation right after COVID within this past year, terrible customer service. We have anybody and everybody. If they have a pulse, like they're being employed with no skills whatsoever, and we're experiencing that. And it's painful sometimes, especially coming, Coach, from our background where you were in the restaurant industry and you held a high position, and I was an executive chef. I don't know if I could do it anymore. I don't know how I would have been able to handle this current trend or this current climate in the restaurant industry of terrible customer service. I'm glad I'm not managing right now. I'll say that. But I will say though that when it comes to the behavior of the said millennials, I think there's just some resistance and some pushback, and I think that they just are different from who we were in the past. And look, a lot's changed. A lot has changed over the last few years, and a lot has changed over the last year. A lot of things that we tolerated that probably shouldn't have been tolerated is just not being tolerated anymore. Now, we may say, well, why did customer service have to go out the window? That shouldn't have gone out the window. Now, I don't know if we could. I don't know if the two have to do anything with each other, but I think when we think about the kind of person that we're speaking about here, I'm trying to land my plane as quickly as possible and get off this. But I think when we talk about that said person, that millennial, who we may perceive as not respecting that customer service or not being able to give customer service, I think they've just figured out, I'll assume you're an idiot until you prove me otherwise. And you know what? A lot of times they're right. And I'll yield.
Oh, I love what you said. I love it. I love it, Joey.
Real quick, perfect example at my three daughters who are 27, 25, and 22. My middle child really displays what she's doing. And look, she's no slouch. She's going to get her master's degree at a medical school. I mean, she is a hard, she doesn't fall in any kind of category of, she doesn't fall in the category of what we used to call like the Wayne's World kid, living in your parents' basement, doing nothing in her life. She's put together. She's real buttoned up, but she's got some high standards. I mean, she has convicted me over the years about living to a high standard and not taking any BS.
Yep. Now, do you think it's also a matter of the fact that people are starting to be, because they're spending more money for the same thing, they're getting, well, if I'm going to spend $40 for two people for lunch, I better get exactly what I want and how I want it. Do you think that's a part of it in the restaurant world, Joey?
Yeah, I do. I do. And the problem, though, the flip side of that is the restaurant is struggling right now. They don't have the ability to give the proper service. Not every restaurant, but for the most part, they don't have the ability to give. So they have to charge these pricing. They have to do these things. They have to reduce their menu down. Some of them had to go to online ordering only. Some of them had to go to kiosks with no interaction and just somebody walking out the food in a to-go box. And yet they had to charge $40 for two people because of the current situation that we are in the industry. But to answer your question, I do. So two things are happening. The industry's changed. The cost of goods has gone up. the end user, which is the restaurant, and then really the end user is the customer. There's an issue there, and at the end of the day, we're still in hospitality. We can't forget that. So if I was coaching a restaurant, which I do, my coaching is going to be, your food needs to be good, but your hospitality better be on point, because I think that's right now, that's the hot thing. Because to circle back, there is an issue with hospitality. There is an issue with customer service. So my coaching to anyone in the industry, whether you're selling tacos or you're selling purses or whatever, designer shoes, it's got to come down to customer service. And when it comes down to it, we've said this before, maybe not in this room, but we know it. If you're in customer service, people buy from who they know, like, and trust. Maybe even more important than the actual product. I'm agreeing with you 99%, but I'm also just trying to look at this from a different set of lenses as well, Coach.
Completely understand. And I think, Joey, one of the things that I look at is and I'm going to blame this on our generation, and what I mean by that is late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, all the way up to early 60s, maybe mid 60s even, is that we've had, at least here in the US, double income, going and getting the nicest, the best, the greatest things possible so that our kids have everything they want. They have helicopter parents that are taking them to every sporting event. They have the best mobile phones, the best of this, the best of that. They have new this, new that. Oh, yep, we've got a new trend. Got to have the new piece of clothing, the new trend. Got to have the newest. Oh, yep. Lululemon is popular. It's the hottest and it's the rage. Got to have Lululemon stuff. Oh, yep. And remember, I'm growing, so it's only going to last me for a year. And they can't have second best. They got to have the best. And so parents are stuck at some level between a rock and a hard place. They communicate ineffectively with their children. They don't create boundaries effectively. And inside of that, what ends up happening is we end up with this difficulty, with this issue of I'm entitled, what I call the prince and the princess mentality, the entitlement. And then when that entitled personality goes into the workforce, they're like, wait a minute, I'm entitled to this and I'm entitled to that. And well, you ought to have somebody cleaning up the floor. Why am I doing that? Well, because that's just a part of teamwork, collaboration. Yeah, well, I don't want to do that. It's not part of my job description. And you hear these stories, and yet there are people out there that did a wonderful job with raising their kids. The kids see the value. They learned the value of $1. They are careful with their money. Pardon me, they're respectful with their elders. They're respectful with their parents. So there are exceptions, and I do realize that. I just see that it's more than 50% that we're dealing with the issues. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Sister Jeanette. Let's rock and roll, Sister Jeanette, if you're able to chat.
I am not able to chat right now. What a great discussion. Yes. You always come up with these ones that take, I know there's some great shares to be had. Having worked in sales, not only in sales, having worked in industries like restaurants, or even done consulting and having clients that try to take advantage of my time. You could go either way. So yeah, this is the great resignation time. So this is a great discussion because I work in an industry. I'll do this real quick. I work in as an accountant, and there's been a great resignation in accountants because we work 80 plus hours a week. And when you realize how much you work and you have a pandemic and you realize, family, I had more time to spend with family, and I really kind of enjoyed that. There were some great opportunities to go elsewhere with the skills that, we learn in the accounting field. So there's a great resignations. There's shortages everywhere. It's amazing. So a lot of that, when you work on your own, trying to build a clientele that doesn't take advantage of your time, that is a tricky situation too, because they treat you like you work for them, but no, they're hiring you to do something for them. And so it's kind of tricky to go into that area. But yes, the great resignation is a happening thing. The customer service side, there's a shift in that of how people look at it. And anyway, I have to run. I wish I could talk more, but I'll be listening in. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Sister Jeanette. And I pass the mic over to Miss Pat.
Oh, well, thank you. This is the first time I've come in, to listen to this. I thought, against all odds, I love that topic. If you don't mind, I'd like to listen a bit more, and perhaps I'll comment, because, oh gosh, customer service. Oh, I go way back. Being in the retired nurse, you're doing a service. But I guess I'm always looking at, go back to the golden rule, do unto others as I would have them do unto you. And when I was in nursing school, it was the patient's always right. The patient's always right. Even if they're wrong, they're right. And if you don't feel like taking care of a patient today, you should stay at home. And with COVID, there's been a lot of different things. I started ordering groceries instead of going out. And there's a difference in the different shoppers that are getting the groceries. I don't think they're being trained on how to pick groceries, produce. Oh gosh, I told my daughter, I said, I'm stopping. I want to go into produce. I want to go purchase my groceries now myself, because I'm tired of having to contact the individuals that I'm purchasing groceries from and tell them about the problem, and you take it off. But I wanted those items. So it's okay to, restaurants, I think restaurants that had lousy service before still have lousy service, and it may have gotten worse.
Yeah.
It was there. It was there already. It's just like if you meet a nasty, mean old person, let me tell you, they were nasty and mean when they were young. They didn't just get nasty and mean when they got older. Okay?
Amen.
So, it's there. Oh my God. And I'm really so thankful that that's something my father always taught me: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And gosh, I'm going to say that I was a damn good nurse. And I was a damn good supervisor and manager. And a lot of times, you learn early. And, I think about what God takes from us, You learn. My mother always said, you can get more with sugar than you can with vinegar.
Amen.
Okay, you know about that, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
And so, even if someone is throwing you a lot of vinegar, you may have to take a deep breath, and especially if it's a patient. You don't know what's going through their minds, what's happening with them. They're ill, they're in the hospital, they're anxious about things, So, I mean, they may have been, disrespectful and what have you outside of the hospital, but there's a way to make them respect you also. Because I have at times told patients, wait a minute. My name is Miss Pat. I'm here to take care of you. I'm here to be the doctor's eyes because I'm going to be with you either 8 or 12 hours. I'm going to do a head-to-toe assessment. And I'm going to prepare medicines that you need. I'm going to make sure that you are taken care of. There'll be someone coming in to assist me. But I'm going to speak with you with respect, and I expect the same of you, or we're going to have a problem. And when I go into a restaurant, now listen, if I'm paying for some food, I want it good. And if it's not right, I'm going to send it back, but I'm going to send it back not with an attitude. I'm just going to ask for the manager to come so I can show and explain what I don't like about what's been prepared. Because I'm spending my money. So if you can't fix it right, then give me something else. But I don't get loud. I smile. I'm respectful. And let me tell you something. I've gotten some free meals sometimes because of the way I approach a situation. And apologies. And this is before COVID. Now, I don't know whether or not it would work now. I haven't had the problem. It seems like restaurants are even doing more to bring you in. That's what I'm getting. Larger portions, desserts that they don't charge for. So what can I say? I'm going to listen to what everyone else is saying. But I'm saying, sometimes you get what you put out. That's what I'll close with for now. I'm going to listen. You get what you put out.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Hello, right, thank you. And this song just comes to me, and I know I'm going to do a sermonette on it. What have you done for me lately?
Amen, God.
What have you done for me lately? We're always expecting someone to do something for us. And we expect God to do something for us. But what have you done for him lately? I can hear God saying, what have you done for me lately? Did you wake up and say thank you? That you're able to breathe? Did you wake up and you're able to see? You're able to walk? What have you done for me lately? It just keeps going through my mind. So this is what you have to think of. Who are you? And see, I'm sorry, but my generation was different. But my children's generation, it seems like they start slacking off. And with my children's, and that's my daughters are 50, so my oldest daughter is the one that has children. And it seems like her children have everything, and they're poor. The parents bought them cars. They never had to take the bus like I did. And they're not appreciative. If someone gives you something, we had to write a letter, not just buy a card, and thank them for giving it. They don't do that. Children don't thank you, whether they like it or not. You see, I've taken gifts from people, and I'm telling you, they've been some bad ones, but they would never know it. because it's the thought. You went out of your way to give me a gift, and I'm going to say thank you. And I'm not just going to say, oh, thank you. I'm going to make you feel like it's the best gift you ever gave me. That's me. I'm going to leave this mic now and let someone else. There's some other people here with customer service. This is a good, very, very good topic. So check yourself. Check yourself. As far as customer service, you get what you put out. You don't put out, you don't get anything. Don't expect anything. I'm Miss Pat. I'm complete for now.
Thanks, Miss Pat. All right. Pamela, how are you today? Uh-oh. Pamela, do you have a sticky mic? Pamela Johnson. Pamela, if you have a sticky mic, you may have to hit the leave quietly and then immediately touch the hallway, the room, and it'll take you out, reset your mic, and bring you right back. Five, four, three, two, one. Come on back. Oh, a little slower. All right, well, I'm just going to do a little PT. There she is. And how's the mic working? Pamela, are you able to come off mic?
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm here.
Marvelous.
Yes. Was there a question? I know. I was roaming around trying to figure out how to make this thing work.
What
Yes.
are your thoughts about customer service and how it is showing up for you these days?
For me personally?
Yes.
Was that the question for me personally?
Yes, ma'am.
What I have found is that the less I ask, what am I doing? How can I help? How can I serve? Those kind of questions. What I've discovered is that it falls in my lap. God provides, God gives, God doesn't take, God gives. That's my experience. If there's a service that I'm required to do, if there's something that He, my Creator, wants me to do, He puts it in front of me. I don't have to. That's complicated, Les. It really is, that question. And I yeah, it's a complicated question, isn't it? It's different for each of us individually. Like most things in life.
Amen. Amen.
How can I help? How can I serve? I can give you my testimony. I can give anybody my testimony, my story. I can stand on a soapbox. I can do all those things. But we're all we're all individuals. We're all on this journey individually, but collectively. Isn't that complicated?
No, I mean, I completely understand and agree with you. I think it's not complicated. I think we are in a very powerful place today where we have an opportunity, and every business has an opportunity right now to be able to step up their game, to be able to come to the table in two ways. One, as a customer coming in being respectful, being cognizant of a server and cognizant of the wait people, both the bussers and the wait people, being cognizant of managers in the restaurant, being cognizant of I can't expect something to be cooked within 30 seconds. I'm here at a restaurant. There are other people in the restaurant besides me. It's a team. It's a community. And I also then think that there is, so that's from the client, from the customer aspect. I then also look at being in the service industry. And I remember I was a cook for a while, and cooks it's a passion for most people that cook. Most people that cook enjoy it, love making a difference, and love supporting a customer, getting a beautiful meal, the right temperature, the right size, everything. And to be responsible for that, and to start and be in communication so that that continues to happen. And that I believe it starts here. I believe it starts with us starting the trickle. And I've made a difference with a server. I've actually said to a server, look, I'm going to look at one thing. I love drinking plain water with no ice. If you can manage my glass so that it never gets empty until the very end of the meal or until I put my hand over it, I would really appreciate that. Because for me, that's my beverage. And many times, because it's water, it gets overlooked. And if a server pays attention to it, they get a lot of money out of me, because I realize they're not making any money on wine or liquor.
You actually said that to another human being.
Yes.
You actually said, if my beverage isn't, I'm gonna put my hand over the top of it. You're privileged, aren't you? Okay, I'm gonna rest my mic. I've never, ever even dreamed, and I have been able to do that, but I've never dreamed of putting my hand over the top of my glass and telling another human being what you just said.
So
sorry.
No,
I guess I'm gonna be excluded, blocked, and removed.
No, Pamela, not at all.
I'm
not
arguing.
No,
I'm just saying.
Pamela, I think you misunderstood me. I'm just saying that when I'm done, when I'm finished drinking the water, if you keep filling it up, when I put my hand over it, I'll let you know when I'm done, so that you don't have to keep filling it up anymore.
That's not what you said. That's not what you said.
So why else would I put my hand over the water glass?
Because you were arguing about ice cubes.
No.
Okay.
Oh no, I didn't. I don't ever get ice cubes in my water. I just get I just ask when I order water. I ask for water with no ice, please. No, sorry about that misunderstanding, Pamela. If I miscommunicated that, I apologize. No, my goal is to make life easy for the servers and to allow the opportunity for service, because I know that there are two things that wait staff don't like. They don't like hot tea, and they don't like water. And a lot of times they don't like pop because it's free refills. And I used to do server training. And in the server training, I would call those beverages slave service, because they slave the server to the table. And when I would train the servers, my goal was to have the servers be seeing it before the customer hit the bottom of their glass and asking them before it was empty, so that it gave the occurrence to the clients and to the customer that you're paying attention to even the beverages that you don't get paid for every time they get a free one. They get another one: coffee, tea, pop, and water. Does that communicate, Pamela?
Yes. What's your profession? What do you do? I'm just curious. What's your experience in? I'm hearing that you have a lot of experience in the service field industry.
Yeah, so I was a workaholic after college, and I worked in the restaurant business in the evenings, and I worked in sales during the day. And if you go to my LinkedIn, you can see that I spent a lot of time training. In 2002, I went into a personal training and development world in the evenings because my boss bribed me to come out of the restaurant business. And that's when I got hooked on coaching. And then in 2012, after having spent 10 years in the personal training and development world in the evenings and in the liquor and wine business during the day, I walked away from both of them and became an entrepreneur. And I was unable to coach for 2 years outside of the company I was working as a non-compete. And then in 2014, I hung my own shingle and became a business coach. And then recently, in the past 2 years, I have created a little bit more of a runway for what I do, and that's as an integrity coach, communication, accountability, structures for fulfillment, i.e. sales goals. And I also do some consulting with restaurants. That answer your question, Pamela?
Oh yes, and also then some. Man, in the restaurant industry, you're lost. Stay out of that. Don't fill water cups. I'm telling you, you are beyond that. I the first time I encountered you was a while back, and there was a question posed that nobody has ever asked me that question before, and you did, and I answered, and you held me accountable, and I'm still trying to be accountable to the question that you asked me, and I'm still struggling with that. But no, don't fill water glasses. Don't even engage in that, Coach Les. You're beyond that.
Well, thank you.
You got your biggest. You want a customer? I will take you around the block a time or two. You're way beyond talking about ice cubes and water glasses.
Here's the interesting.
So here we go. Yeah. Do you recall the question you asked of me?
I don't, Pamela.
I don't, because you got a lot of clientele. You got a lot of people. I told you a struggle that I expressed. I'm struggling. I said to you, I'm struggling. And you said, no, you didn't say. You texted me and we back channel, and you said, what's the struggle? And I said, here it is. And you said, what are you holding back on? Why aren't you climbing that mountain? Why aren't you doing this? And yeah, you're good at what you do. It's not filling water glasses.
It's interesting you say that, Pamela, because for me, one of the things that has always kept me humble and quote unquote, and I know this is a lot of people say this, but kept me honest, was keeping my feet in the restaurant business, waiting on people, even when it was only one night a week. And why it did that was because during the day I was selling to restaurateurs and liquor stores. I was selling super expensive wine. And I realized in helping customers one-on-one, I could actually stand with one of my clients, the owner of the restaurant, and speak with a knowledge that was firsthand, rather than years ago, I used to be a server and this is how we did it. No, I would say, look, this past Sunday night, I was with a customer and this question came up and this is how I solved it. And for me, it's one of the grassroots. I mean, I'm in the process of looking to purchase a couple of restaurants. And part of why I want to get back into that business is because I know when you can provide a level of customer service, and this is why this is such a wonderful topic for us today, when you can provide phenomenal customer service, there is never a question about your integrity, your product, your accountability to them as a customer, and you will have customers for life. And I see this. I mean, I've been going to a diner, a restaurant diner in Dinkytown, which is near the University of Minnesota, here in Minnesota, since 1980, ordering the same food, the same stuff. And I even worked in that diner for 9 months. And their service has been consistent. Their food quality has been exemplary. And the new owner is a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine, who's married to somebody that I used to work with in the wine business. And I see and hear every time I go there her commitment to the clientele. And I've fallen in love with it, Pamela. And I don't know how else to say it. And so for me, as a coach and looking at customer service, I get such enjoyment. And my life is fulfilled when I can make a difference for another human being that resonates beyond money. Does that communicate? Pamela, did that communicate? Can you guys hear me?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yes, hello, Pamela here.
Yeah.
I've got a problem with my mic, but yes, absolutely communicated. And I'm reminded of the scriptures, and yeah, we wash each other's feet, don't we? Or should we?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Absolutely. And it's not about, I love some of what you said, Coach. I didn't hear because I was in and out, but what I did hear, it's not about the money.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. Come on. It's about service. It's about it. Can we be? Yes. I don't know how much money you make a year, Coach Les. It's not important to me. You don't know how much money I make a year. I don't know how much money half these people on stage make a year. It's not about the money. It's about what we take with us when we are no longer walking the face of this earth, right?
Yeah.
We're not here anymore. Our souls have gone on.
What do we have to say then? Do you want my Bank of America account? I can give it. Do you want my Discover card credit statements? I can give them. Do you want my? I've got property paid off. Do you want that? Do you want what? No, it's not about finances. It's not. When will we hear this? When will anybody hear this? It took me. I'm in my 60s. It took me a long time. I learned it when I was in kindergarten, and I was berated my entire existence up and it doesn't matter to me now. It does not matter whether you're born here, whether you're born there, whether you got generational wealth, whether you got a baby. It doesn't matter. What matters is your soul. That's all. Simple.
Amen. 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 Thanks, Pamela. I'm going to throw the mic to Michelle. Oh, Miss Pat, did you want to chime in? Hold on a second, Michelle. Miss Pat, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I accidentally unmuted the mic. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Michelle, go for it.
I'm just listening, Coach. This is very interesting. I missed some of it because I've been so busy about my animals right now, and I'm making sure Rocky does not escape. So I missed a lot of conversations. So I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty always, and just appreciate you no matter how you show up, anytime you show up, Michelle. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ruth is in the house. How you doing, Ruth?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. It's getting late for you, young lady.
I'm sitting here working at the same time. Anyway, but I think, this started off very much about the generation gap and the application of young people and the responsibilities that they take. And it's turned from that into the wonderful way that we, as the generation you spoke about, all look at the level of service we can give to others. And where I've been training young people recently, I find that although I try and give everything I can in terms of what I'm teaching them, and I leave them with homework, and I expect the homework to be done by the time I talk with them the next week. When I come back to them and say, well, where's your report on what I asked you to do last week so that we can move on to the next thing? And have you finished the work that I gave you to do? Oh, yes. And so I said, so where is it? And then I usually get about 3 lines of text that they lead me to believe have taken them however many hours that they should have been spending on it. And obviously the conversation then ensues, well, you haven't actually done what I asked you to do. And then with reports, I'll say, well, I've written it, and it will be something like a paragraph. And anyway, so I was at the end of the training period with them recently, and I kept on 2 of the staff on a lower number of hours than I'd been training them for. One of them, a young lady, has learnt responsibility because she has her own daughter and is a single mum, and she's absolutely amazing at what she can do. and she really wants to learn and progress because she wants to support her child. The other young man, I took some work to him. He did 8 hours work, and I paid him for 50 hours and said he was to complete the rest of the 50 hours the following month. And I hadn't allocated any more work to him because he didn't complete the 8 hours properly the preceding month. And I thought, I haven't got time to do this. And at the end of the month, he came to me and he said, "Where's my money this month?" And I said, "Well, you haven't earned any money this month. You're on a 0 hours contract. And you also owe me 42 hours from the previous month." And so he said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Because you can't tell me what you did. You told me when we spoke about it. And I said to you, I estimated it was a maximum of 8 hours. And you nodded your head." Right. So I said, "So what we're going to do, if you want more work from me, I'm going to allocate you 42 hours if I can during this coming month. And I'm going to tell you how long each piece of work is going to take before I'm going to be asking questions." And he did step up because he still does want to work with me, but I'm not at this moment of a mind to have the wool pulled over my eyes because I need them to produce money for the business that they're working for. But it's an interesting balance because I do care about each one of them, and the whole objective is to make them into an employee who could be employed elsewhere. And also, if they don't come up to the mark that I need them to, one of them, he's not really suited to office work, and he said to me, obviously he's looking for other types of employment. And so I asked him, I said, "So what sort of thing are you considering doing now? Because I've agreed that if he wants me to, I'll continue to train him so that he can get more knowledge of certain things, and as long as it's valuable to my business." And he said he was applying to become a hospital porter. And I said, "Well, actually, I think you would be much more suited to that because you're very good at putting people at their ease and talking with people. So I would happily give you a reference on that basis." But I found it's been a wonderful insight to the difference between the application that we had and the mentality we wanted to learn absolutely everything we could and progress in every way possible, and even work 24/7 and still do to this day, in comparison to now they'd rather be off playing with their mates, even though they should be earning a living. So that's my observation. But nevertheless, we're still there to try and teach them the proper principles of caring for one another, aren't we? I yield the mic, Les.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate it. Appreciate your share, and I'm happy to hear that people are taking some care in holding people accountable. It's wonderful. And I see Fabian just came back into the room and is no longer on the phone. Fabian, I'm going to come back and pass the mic to you. Thank you for being here, sir.
And thank you for having me, Coach, and thanking SUJATA for inviting me in. It's a great conversation, a great room, and it's quite interesting, the different points of view. I'm going to take a different point of view as well, in that I think, first of all, customer service is clearly not what it used to be, not what we're used to. It makes us uncomfortable that, what has happened in such a short amount of time And we've been to restaurants, for example, and just have all kind of disasters happen at a higher frequency than in the past. However, I think in blaming one set of people, a generation, is unfair. And it's so easy now to kind of beat up on the Gen Zers and to make blanket statements. But, you know, I think we need to balance our conversation in what they are doing better than previous generations. And I'm of the mindset that each generation thinks they are in some way more talented or superior to the next one. And I can see why. You know, I remember I was in a Bible study a couple months ago, and one of the ladies from the church brought up what happened in school, that two of the kids there were acting out and how they had to bring in the kind of school police, so to speak, to take them away. And I said, well, did anybody ask, like, what was going on with these children, maybe at home, why they were acting out like this? And nobody answered for, like, it seemed like for such a long time. And my point is, it's so easy, you know, to criticize and say one age group is doing this or they're not doing this right. But I think we need to dig a little deeper and find out, for example, why customer service is where it's at right now. And my question is the leadership in these companies and restaurants inferior to years of the past? Are they training less? Are they not training at all for the sake of saving some money? And I would guess that those in charge are not Gen Zers, that they are of an older age. So they have to bear some responsibility as well, you know? And ultimately with me, the buck stops with the boss, the manager, the leader of every single ship. And I'm betting that most of them are not Gen Zers as well. So if you are not taking the time to train these young people, or you're kind of haphazardly training them on the job, so to speak, you're not doing enough. And this generation is actually much, I wouldn't say much, but they're brighter than previous generations. At times, could they use more tact? 100%. Do they seem kind of standoffish? 100%. Do they communicate not so great? 100%. All of those things might be true. But at the end of the day, it's up to leaders of these companies where the customer service is failing to do a better job. So the burden is on all of them to find a different way, because with each generation, they're going to ask more questions. They're going to follow less. But I'll tell you what, Gen Zers are the most transparent era that we've ever had of young people. Okay? They tell you what's on their mind. Sometimes they're abrupt, but they will tell you where they stand, unlike previous generations where you don't know. So we got to give them some credit and find a better way how to get better customer service, not lay it all at the feet of our young people. And with that, thank you so much.
I love it, Fabian, and I'm gonna launch into and one thing I want to I trust that nobody is hearing me say that this is 100% of Gen Zers, 100% of millennials, that I'm not advocating that there are definitely, this is stereotypical, but not necessarily across the board. And that being said, I do believe, and this is going to come as a shock to some people, I do believe, and I'm going to use the restaurant business as the place to pick on. And I'm sorry that Joey left. I believe that we're so concerned with the bottom dollar that exactly what you said about training and development is lacking. And that training and development along the board in many, many companies, because we have, and I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Jeanette, we have the accounting department, the financial world, the actuarians that are saying we can't afford this, we can't afford to do this. And I believe that if you look at the companies that are excelling, their customer service has not dropped an iota. In fact, their customer service, even in the time of the pandemic, went up a notch. They found ways to level up. And I believe that a lot of the restaurants, especially the one of the restaurants that I know because I was coaching them, we created a way that we could cope with, handle, excel at COVID-19 restrictions and make it easier for people to come into the restaurant. We took shelving from IKEA and put food near the front door so people didn't even have to walk further into the restaurant to pick up their to-go orders. Now, did we rely on people being honest and not stealing other people's food? Yes. Did anybody steal people's food? If they did, it was by accident. And I think that the customer service that started happening, people checking, there was a person that was assigned to check the to-go food to make sure that it matched what they had ordered one last time, because we knew that it would be a pain for them to come back in to fix their order. So I think you are exactly right, Fabian. And that is training and development. Today, I believe training is at a new level of, we have to level it up. We have to be able to communicate at a new level. And I'm gonna do front of the hand and back of the hand here and say we have these beautiful things called smartphones that have created an amazing opportunity to be communicative, and they've created an amazing opportunity to not be communicative by getting in between people's communication, or by creating miscommunication due to the fact that you cannot contextually view a text or an email. It doesn't carry emotion. I mean, I'm working with a client right now from a very large nonprofit who wants to promote somebody, and that person literally read me the riot act about the emails and the texts she was getting from the CEO. And I looked at them and they were completely not what she said. However, her experience, quote unquote, her experience, based on the fact that when she would get in trouble and have a conversation, she said, well, she usually carries this tone, and I just read the texts and the emails with that tone. And I'm like, you can't do that, because that will set you up for disaster. So I think you're completely accurate. I think just like when Zoom became important during the pandemic, there were people out there training people around Zoom etiquette. You know, you don't show up to a meeting in a t-shirt. If it's a business meeting, you make sure you still carry business attire. And I know there are people that showed up in a shirt and a tie with their pajama bottoms on. And I told people, no, that doesn't work. So there were people that got lax in what I call professionalism. So we created an opportunity to train people in Zoom. I think people today have to be trained. I love what you said, Fabian, and I thank you for that. I see you're on the phone, so I'm going to, and I've already spoken with Mr. Emmanuel on the room chat because he's having difficulty with the weather. And so I'm going to jump to somebody who I know is going to provide nuggets of wisdom and a ton of fun in this conversation, and pass the microphone to Stephen.
Okay, I had to think of something that would be totally relevant to the restaurant industry.
Oh no!
I've got two little things that I want to mention that I think, because I think I do have this optimistic bias, so I'm looking more times for things that are to go right than things that go wrong, and focus on doing more good things than trying to stop bad things. Like I get there's times you got to stop the bad. Sometimes I look at, sometimes I think it's good to overcome my evil, stupid things with just better things. So this is something that I have to compliment a younger person on. And this happened in the restaurant industry maybe 2 weeks ago. So I go in there and
Remy,
and I had a gift card, right? And I paid, and I was going to pay with the gift card that I had. And anyways, I go in and they're trying to figure out the card, right? Because they said it was older. And they said, well, we switched. So you need to have a receipt for your gift card. I'm like, oh no, come on. Who keeps a paper receipt from their gift card on them? And, but she said, yeah, we just changed it. I said, look, you can probably look it up or something. And so it turned into, I'm sorry, but here's what I said back to her. And I think that because she was younger, she bought into it. Now the person may have just told me to go fly a kite or something. But I said, look, you're saying sorry, but this isn't, you don't get to say sorry for something you literally had nothing to do. You didn't say, hey, let's switch our system over from this gift card to that and not keep track. I mean, to not keep track, I mean, do you guys, what do you guys do? Keep your records on like 3x5 cards you write out, or what do you do? I mean, we're not in the Stone Age. They could have kept records. I can't be the only person that's come in. It's just, yeah, people come in. We used to ask them for their paper receipts. I gave her the look like the eye roll of, come on, you can't tell me they all had it. But anyways, she gave me a replacement card for it, and it was kind of an interesting one. And the second story I'll give you, that was so it was good. I mean, she went back and forth, very respectful, back and forth on that. Sometimes there's respectful disagreement, but I think it was that, hey, look, I think one of the things that bothers me in any business is when somebody's being put on the front line and it's unfair. Like another one, I have 3 examples. There's another business one that I think they did pretty well. Is there's orders that get messed up because of a microphone that doesn't work right. Like you go through the fast food thing, and their mic is clearly broken. The person doesn't have a speaking problem. It's clearly they had a busted mic. And I've had them, I've seen them get put on a front line of a busted microphone at a fast food line. It's like, oh, come on, you got to fix that. And it was broken for a long time. I think those 2 things bother me. But here's what I've seen really be exciting about the food industry and restaurant industry here in Southern California is extreme. The one places that are doing well have extreme team, like almost like a team family unity. Like they are operating as a team. They care about each other, like each other, they enjoy each other. It's like they almost must have a code to get them hired. Like everybody on the team has to like you're not hired, because there's such cohesiveness and the working togetherness. And I see young people, when they get into those teams, those places and restaurant stuff here are thriving. And it's just because they work as a team so well together, everything is efficient. But those are 3 things I've noticed is, sometimes the people are putting unfair at the front line. And then they still work to do the best they can in unfair situations. And then the third one, what I see that's working really, really, really well is team stuff that's getting built. And it's really cool to see. You go into a fast food restaurant or any kind of like small restaurant, and you see a team of people working together. It's quite artistic. It's like, wow, that is really cool. I don't know how they pull off a team like that, but it almost looked like this. It literally looks like every single person on the team has to approve of every single person that's coming in for it to look that good. But I'll leave it there. Those are 1 thing working and 2 things that could maybe use improvement, help from other people around them.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. And I think that tomorrow's conversation, I think, is definitely going to be driven by how do we train. So I'm setting this up for tomorrow's podcast. How do we level up the training for customer service? What are the things that we can create how do we coach employees, not teach them, not instruct them, not mentor them, but coach them? How do we coach the employees to be?
I'm ready, coach. I'm ready for tomorrow. Bring
it. Oh my goodness. Jeanette. Oh, I just my wife is listening as well, and she said she's gonna have lots to say. But I think tomorrow's, if we, when we take that case and that approach and look at how do we enroll, not just create, not just tell, not just write it down and say, here's the process, but actually coach somebody to see what is it that's missing. How do we fulfill on our mission? Because I'm clear, and I'm going to take a stab. I'm clear that if we went to a random 1,000 employees from different levels in say, let's 5 industries, and ask the question, do you know your store or your company's vision and mission? I believe that it would be less than, I think it would be in the single digit percentile that know the answer to that question. What do you think about that, Jeanette?
You're spot on. Yep.
And if employees don't know a vision and a mission, and they can't get their teeth into it and understand it, believe in it, enjoy it, and like it, and that's why they're there to work, how are they ever going to give good customer service? That's my question.
Well, keeping in mind, because we didn't talk about this, customer service. Who are your customers? When you're working, anybody that comes to you with a question or needs help, that's your customer. It's not necessarily the one that comes in to buy something. It could be a coworker, it could be one of the managers. Those are your customers. They're coming to you because you're proficient in something that you can offer to them. They're your customers. So think about that when you're thinking about training and development and leadership.
I agree. 100%. I agree. And I think that and I know this from when I managed a restaurant for a short time. Do you know that the dishwasher who'd been washing dishes for over 2 decades, when I got to know him and I said thank you to him, and I asked him if I could bring him a pop, and I would regularly do that on my shift as a manager. He was a Hispanic. In broken English, one day he was in plain clothes, and I was sitting at a table, and he walked up to me and he said, "Les, I want to thank you." I said, "Okay, what for?" He says, "You treat me with a respect that I have never, ever experienced in this business. You stop," and this is my reiteration of what he said. He didn't say it quite the way I'm saying it. This is my memory of it. He says, You stop the wait staff from throwing their silverware into the water so that I get splashed with the chemical water. You care about whether I have a drink or not when it's super busy and it's hot. And you know that I'm a little bit behind. You've come back and helped me wash dishes or let me take a break so that I could run to the bathroom. And you've taken over. No manager has ever done that. And I realized that if I was in his spot, that's what I would have wanted from my manager. So I didn't look at it like I was some miraculous human being. I just looked at it as this is what I would expect from my manager if I was in his position, as a courtesy for what I was doing and as somebody that appreciated the work that I was doing. And I think that's another thing that's missing that then gets reflected in customer service. Like you were saying, Jeanette, when people are not appreciated, when people are not loved and cared for, how can we expect them to love and care for somebody walking through the front door? Sujata, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, awesome shares. And, at the end of what you say is it's leadership by example. So if you want to train somebody, you have to show them by doing the same thing, by leading by example. You cannot train somebody by having one set of standards for yourself and the other for them. You have to dirty your hands and show them the way that this is how it is done. That is the best example that one can do.
Excellent. I'm going to just go down and give everybody an opportunity to share one more time before we close the room. Sister Jeanette, anything else you'd like to share?
No, Coach, I'm driving and I loved listening. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being on stage. Miss Pat.
Yes, I'd like to share that I want interactive customer service. I found that there isn't enough of that, and I'm tired of pre-recordings. And it says you can ask me a sentence, and then you go on and say, "Well, customer service representative," and you continue to get a robot. That just irritates me. So I don't like doing service with business with businesses that I can't speak to someone, because most of all, it can't take care of my problems. So I've enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thanks, Miss Pat. Michelle.
Thank you.
Oh,
real quick, can I hop on to what Miss Pat said? Or
of course.
You have you call them up and it takes 10 minutes to press all the numbers to get to who you need to speak to.
Amen. I agree 100%. But remember, that's a bean counter saying that it's cheaper to have that automatic technology than it is to have a human being.
That's an operation manager that says that, not the accounting.
Michelle.
I have to be honest, I listen to everything. I think this is awesome conversation. I wish I would have gotten into it, but unfortunately, my beagle was barking like crazy, and he was a handful. And but I heard everything when he didn't bark. So I'm being honest with you guys.
No worries. It's all good, Michelle. I always want to check in with you.
Okay.
Ruth.
I'm actually a qualified accountant, Les, who deals with many small business owners and gets very close to them, almost, they're friends and family, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also had businesses of my own in the past, employed up to 20 staff on a regular basis, plus had casual and temporary staff. And to be a really good accountant and be able to help all of my clients, they can come to me and ask me virtually anything about what it takes to be a business owner. And being a business owner can be a very lonely place, because you feel you're the one that has to work harder than anybody. And I promise you that when I'm coaching my clients, my staff, and anybody, you cannot look at the bottom line, because in fact there's at least 4 other things that impact whether a business is successful, has the right culture within it, and it's actually outside stakeholders as well as within the business. And it's very much about brand, about purpose, about the people themselves, because if you don't build your team, and ultimately you want people to be cleverer than you are, because they bring something extra to the organization. And profit, yes, but also what are we doing externally to our own environment? What is what we're producing, or how we're producing it? How is that impacting our life as human beings as well? And it's every stakeholder in that business, that how we choose to run that business. And yes, profit is important, because nothing survives without profit. Even government-led organisations, they're driven by the amount of money that they have to spend. And therefore the contracts are awarded on that basis. But putting everything else together is equally important. And that's my share, Les.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Appreciate you always. And I love your clarity of purpose. And another thing that I learned about you today. I love it. And I just want to do a quick shout out. I've just changed the poster board up above my head as I pass the mic to Stephen one more time. And as soon as he's done speaking, before I close the room, I'm going to change the poster board one more time to the room that is coming up in 24 minutes in the 24-hour Bible study, From Clutter to Clarity. So for those of you, the 413 is a club I highly recommend. It's a room actually that is every morning at 5:38 Central Standard that starts it's about thankfulness, encouragement, and forward thinking, and highly recommend that you take a look at it and come in if you have the time available. I think you will find that it will provide something, and then come and join us in the morning possibility with a cup of Bible. But with that, I'm going to hand the mic to hear closing thoughts from Stephen.
Hey, Jim, I just want to thank everybody for giving the wide number of perspectives, and Coach for moderating a great room and creating an engaging and a learning environment where people get to move forward. And I do the 413, thankfulness, encouragement, forward thinking, thankfulness, encouragement, forward thinking. If you want to know more, pop in and you can see it. It's the bottom of my profile. So if you want to know when it is, the details on it, if you follow me, click the bottom. It's at the bottom of my profile every day. So bottom of my profile every day, it's 6:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, and then if you're on in London, it's 11:38 a.m. if you're in London. But I want to thank Coach Les for allowing me the opportunity to launch a couple of rooms in the 24-hour Bible study. One for the book of Proverbs, which if you go to under my profile, you'll see Proverbs, and you'll see the book of Romans, and those are under the 24-hour Bible study. I don't record any of the rooms for the 413, but I did record the book of Proverbs and the book of Romans under the 24-hour Bible study, because I want to honor that work that Coach Les has done in building that up to have those two things on there. And hopefully more to come soon. Thank you so much, Coach. And I appreciate you and appreciate your leadership. I'm learning a lot from you. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Stephen. And once again, I said I would flip the link again one more time. Just this is what we have going on. Oops. I guess it didn't. I thought I saved it. Let's do that one more time. And here we go. And here we go. Sorry about this for a quick second. So this is Sujata and Rosemary that are doing From Clutter to Clarity. How is clutter affecting your life? Looking at it from a biblical perspective and speaking with two experts that have been running organizational businesses on the East Coast for over 20 years. So I highly recommend, if you get a chance to come back, go grab a bite to eat and come back, or put it on and listen while you're eating. And with that, I want to thank my co-host Sujata for continuing to support the conversation and make sure that I do all the things that I need to do in here. And just really appreciate the against all odds. And Sujata, did you want to share anything before we close?
I just wanted to say you don't need support. I only come here and compliment you.
Well, without pepper, salt would be very lonely on a table.
Okay. I have nothing left to say then.
And although pepper may not be used as much as salt in some people's homes, they're always together. So much so that they sell them together in utensils. I mean, in kitchen utensils. So appreciate that. Appreciate each and every one of you. Look forward to you coming back tomorrow. I think tomorrow's conversation is going to just jump right into the storm, and I'm super excited to do that. And I want to thank each and every person. I want to thank April for being there and throwing smiley faces at me. Alexander, it's always good to see you, Alexander. Thank you for being here. Oria, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you also for throwing hearts. There we go. And I look forward to getting to know you, Oria, when you are able to come up on stage and share with us and be part of these conversations. And for everybody here on stage, and Emmanuel, thank you. Emmanuel is becoming a regular in all of the 24-hour Bible study rooms, and is just a force to be reckoned with. And I'm sad that the rain impacted his ability to be with us. And we look forward to the next time he's here. Ruth, thank you for bringing the English component to the table today. Michelle, always good. Miss Pat, my sister from another mother, thank you so much for being here. Sister Jeanette, I love you, my sister, my musketeer. And Sujata. No words can speak what I feel. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, I am going to do what I always do. This room will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.